Welcome all. So, Trumpy, what are you doing? So, the only person or entity, I should say, that's going to make any money or see any positive result from all of these tariffs is the government. Everyone else is going to lose out. So, when you impose tariffs on another country, they're going to reciprocate. What's this going to do? It's going to increase the price of goods. Now, you're going to say that it's going to increase production, but who are you going to sell your goods to? They're already far more expensive than pretty well anything coming from any other country. And the expenses to produce in America are only going to go higher. Now, it's not true anymore that American products are of a higher quality. This definitely used to be the case, but the Chinese, for instance, they've caught on and they make quite good products now, actually, for a lot less money. So your tariffs are essentially closing off the global market for your homegrown businesses. And this box behind me, this is an American company that I'm fond of, LMC Truck. Let's just say that the last time I tried to place an order, between the delivery, the taxes, the duties, totaled more than the parts. When it gets to this point, I'm out. And most consumers are. There are consumers that just can't afford it. And there are consumers like myself that can still afford it, but I'm not going to pay for the pleasure of doing business with your country. Your country should be thanking me for buying your products. For a little more context, I will say I'm a Canadian. I live in Southern Ontario, and it's my position and the position of many of us up here that there shouldn't be any tariffs, there shouldn't be any duties between our two countries. When I did some due diligence before making this video, I did discover, I was surprised to find, that the trade between our two countries is pretty well equivalent. I really would have thought that we would have a trade deficit with the United States. This isn't the case. So duties, for example, think about it this way. I'll give you $1, and then you give me one of your dollars. And where are we? I'll tell you where we are. We're not even Steven. We're at a net loss. And the reason is that we have an office full of very well compensated government employees on both sides of the fence with good pensions, drug plans, that have to do all the paperwork for these transactions. So considering that our trade is relatively on par and that the duties are likely relatively on par, we end up with a net loss. So, as I said, your sentiment, Mr. Trump, and I do hope that you eventually see this video. Um, your tariffs that so far that I can see, you're claiming you've made about $300 billion. However, what you're not going to take into account is things like the $30 billion that you've lost due to tourism, for instance. You're not going to take off all of the bureaucratic costs of all of the high paid federal employees, that governmental employees that are having to work on all of this. And you're certainly not going to take into consideration the losses from the companies in America, because you really will find that you're going to shrink through your actions the global market. American goods are already exorbitantly expensive compared to most other countries' products. And with the retaliatory tariffs, nobody's going to be able to afford them or want to spend the money on them. Even domestically, the cost of production in America is very high. Your goods are very expensive, and you're going to make your products more expensive for Americans. These tariffs, the thing that people need to understand about them is that this money is coming directly out of consumers' pockets. It's not coming from any company. It's coming out of Canadian pockets. It's coming out of Chinese pockets. And it's coming out of Americans' pockets. This money that you're collecting is coming out of individuals' pockets. And I have to say that we already have economic issues that are making it extremely difficult for a lot of individuals. And every time there's an increase in almost anything, there is a butterfly effect. Your tariffs will have people losing their housing. You might think that sounds like a stretch, but I know what's happened to my grocery bill, for instance. Now, there are a lot of factors, but you need to consider that the majority of consumers, likely around 50% of consumers, are low income to minimum wage earners. But this is where these are the individuals that are buying the majority of these goods. And when you put a consumer into a situation where they either can't afford or just refuse to pay for an item because they've gotten so exorbitantly expensive, they stop consuming. This is going to be very detrimental to the economy in many countries. Well, I'd have to say that there are a lot of other deductions that should come off of your net gain. But I would have to speculate that in the end, you probably are going to end up breaking about even dollar-wise, not to mention the damage that you are going to do to individuals and to the economy, to your own people, Mr. Trump. Now, I just have to say that I did recently hear you were floating a 200% tariff on pharmaceuticals. Okay? Now you've moved into sociopathic territory. Anytime that you are going to put the greenback above the health of millions of people, well, now you've crossed the line. People will not be able to afford their medication. And if you're going to say that, well, they should have a drug plan. Well, if medications increase, the cost of the drug plan will increase. Many people won't be able to absorb these costs, or the the pharmaceutical um, or the insurance companies, they will just refuse to pay for the medication. So I think you really should reconsider your tariffs and be honest with yourself and really start taking off of the top all of the costs that there will be concerning these tariffs. I mentioned a company that I'm fond of yours, LMC Truck. And I'd like to also add that this is the American credit card that I got so that I could do business with LMC Truck. And I will say that it's been canceled. People will become more resourceful. The cost of goods has gotten so great that I would rather spend time um, refurbishing what I have. You're going to see people cut back. Companies are going to be making less money. Um, I just, I can't believe that you're supposedly a savvy businessman, and yet you've come to this conclusion that tariffs are the answer. I just can't figure it out. Have a nice day, all.